Welcome back into halftime here on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com. Drew Barrett, Matty T, keeping you company for the next hour and a half here on this brutally hot day across the entire natural state. Phil Elson will be out the rest of the week, so me and Matty T will keep you company. Joining us now is Bob Holt from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette and Whole Hog Sports. Bob, big news from today, the Texas and OU story is the story that keeps on giving. And today, Bob Bowlesby issued a cease and desist order against ESPN, and his citing of the fact that they're trying to help Texas and OU weasel out of paying the Big 12 by dismantling it does kind of seem to have some merit to it, but he won't cite any sources or evidence that he has. Is this kind of Bob Bowlesby's last-ditch effort to do something to keep his conference from going away in the dust?
Yeah, it does really smack of desperation, and it's really bizarre because, ESPN televises a lot of Big 12 sports, and so it's just kind of biting the hand that feeds you. I've never really seen anything like it. Maybe it's happened before. I don't remember a conference ever threatening to sue a TV network, especially one that's a partner. It might be different if they didn't have any kind of relationship with ESPN, and he may bring up valid points. I mean, I don't think I have to believe ESPN was very aware of Texas and OU maneuvering, but it just kind of adds more fuel to the even more bizarre situation. And I don't really know if there's anything that can be done. I have a hard time believing Texas and OU are going to wait till 2025 to start playing the SEC. Got to believe something's going to be done before that. It's like when A&M exited. I can't remember what their fee was, but they didn't pay anywhere close to it. I think they negotiated a much lower buyout. Like I think it was $11 million instead of $30 million or something like that. So I would imagine something similar to that will happen. But maybe this is just like lawyers saying stuff before a big trial, kind of saber rattling or whatever it's called. But it's definitely makes for interesting reading.
Yeah, it does. It gives us something to talk about and debate and kind of really see where all the chips will land. Now, you talk about they'll sue and they'll probably negotiate. It won't be the $80 million that they owe, but I'm sure it won't be the $1 the USFL won from the NFL, though, back in the 80s, right? Where do you think it probably lands per school? Does it land somewhere around 25 or maybe a little higher?
Yeah, I'd be guessing. It probably depends on the duration. Like, do they get immediately released to the SEC for 2022? Not immediately. I guess that'll be a year from now. But I guess it depends on how good your lawyers are, if you can bring things to bear. Obviously, the SEC's flush with money. They might offer to help OU and Texas, you give them an advance or something like that. But yeah, I would think it would be maybe, I think it's 75 or 76 million, so it might be a third of that. But that's obviously a guess, on my part.
Well, the SEC is planning on meeting today. Do we get word later today that they have been officially invited, or is that going to take time? Because when the meeting was originally scheduled, I do believe it said that they weren't going to vote. Do you think they changed that and go ahead and vote today?
They might. Obviously, the SEC is going to do whatever the SEC wants to do. Whenever they do vote, it seems a foregone conclusion, that they're going to invite OU and Texas. And I think it'll be 14-0 vote. I mean, I know A&M, publicly voiced their opposition to bringing Texas in because, they wanted to be the only Texas school in the SEC. And I think they had a gentleman's agreement, unwritten agreement, whatever, with Mike Slide, the previous SEC commissioner, and not just Texas A&M, but I think there's been, an agreement that, Florida could veto Florida State, South Carolina could veto Clemson, Georgia could veto Georgia Tech, et cetera. But, this is it's a different commissioner. It's not written down. It's a different day. I mean, things are changing rapidly in college sports with the, name, image, and likeness, and with possible playoff expansion. And, there's a lot of talk about super conferences. There's been a lot of talk about that for a long time, about super conferences basically breaking away from the NCAA. So I think the SEC and Greg Sankey, the commissioner there, he's positioning the SEC to, without question, be the strongest conference, which it already is, in my opinion, and other people's thoughts. But I think he's trying to remove any doubt and make the SEC, maybe it needs to be the SSEC, like the Super Southeast Conference. But, I think A&M's going to fall in line. Most SEC votes are 14-0, no matter what people feel. That's kind of an SEC is that they do things in lockstep.
Yeah, July probably, in at least the most recent history, this July has been the most jam-packed month for college football news without a single play, a single down, a single touchdown being scored of everything that we've had go on this month. You're talking, like you just brought up, college football playoff expansion talk. The NIL has gone into effect. Now we're talking super conferences, conference realignment. It's so much stuff that college football, it really shows just how big of a monster college football is, and especially down here in the southeastern region of the United States. But Bob, the NIL has gotten a lot of different stories coming out of it today. You had De'Aaron King, Matt Corral, and Graham Mertz sign a deal with a memorabilia and trading card company. I've seen some other athletes get into this. How big of a market do you think there really is for trading cards for athletes who are going to be at an institution for 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, you always think about trading cards. I mean, colleges have been doing those for a long time, I believe, but obviously players couldn't profit from it. It's interesting. I think the market for, sports memorabilia, whether it's trading cards or autographed baseballs or bats or jerseys or whatever the case might be, it kind of fluctuates. But I feel like, if you invest in that, it's always going to, rise up at some point. So it's not a bad investment. These guys are good players, but we're not talking, Johnny Unitas, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, that type of thing. So to me, it would be interesting to see what the market would bear, because these guys may end up being really good NFL quarterbacks, maybe not. It's not like any of them have won a Heisman already. You wonder what the market might have been for Johnny Manziel the year after he won the Heisman as a redshirt freshman. That probably would have been through the roof. But so these are good quarterbacks, but I don't know if they're household names. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of return they get on it, what kind of return the companies get. Obviously, you assume they're expecting a good return, or else they wouldn't invest in these guys.
And Bob, do want to definitely get to this, because it is probably big news from around here earlier today, about an hour ago, the announcement of Dave Van Horn's contract extension through 2031. Does that free him up to do anything else? Is it just kind of a tip of the cap to say that you're going to be here for as long as you want? I mean, already been here for almost 20 years, adding on another 10. What does this mean for Dave Van Horn and his program?
Well, yeah, I think it's more of a tip of the cap. I don't think Dave Van Horn is going anywhere. I mean, I'm not saying there are a lot of colleges that would love to have him be a coach, but I think Dave's very happy here. His alma mater. He's not from Arkansas originally. He's from Kansas City area, but his wife's from Arkansas. And it's hard to imagine Dave Van Horn coaching anywhere else. I don't expect him to coach anywhere else. He's been very successful. I think he obviously wants to win a national championship. And I think, who knows if that'll happen, but I think they'll definitely have, teams capable of doing that, just like this year's team was capable. It just didn't work out. It doesn't always work out for Arkansas or Vanderbilt, whoever the case might be. But, I think it was more just a nod to Dave Van Horn. I don't think he was going anywhere. I mean, this wasn't in response to, hey, somebody's trying to hire Dave, prime way from Arkansas. I think this is just a show of respect for his accomplishments, his longevity. I feel like Dave could coach here, reasonably for as long as he wanted to. And so, I didn't know they were working on an extension, but of course he had, I think he was signed through another 4 or 5 years. He got an extension after the 2018 season. when they reached the finals of the College World Series. So, yeah, I think it's just a nod to Dave Van Horn's, career accomplishments and just, Arkansas obviously wants Dave to keep coaching here for a long time. I think Dave wants to keep coaching here for as long as he wants to do it.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely take them up on the offer. I'm sure the money is still really good. He feels right here at home and it has this program as definitely a top 5 program, it seems like, year in and year out. Bob, thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch up with you again next Thursday, all right?
Okay, sounds good. You guys take care.
Thanks, Bob. That's Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Phil, not even Phil. Dang it. Betty, I am tongue-tied today. I do not know what is going on with my mouth today. It is absolutely driving me insane.
Well, you
didn't
grow up with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
It's a lot of words.
It's your daily newspaper.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's still new to you.
Let's try this one more time. That's Bob Holt from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
All right.
And the wholehogsports.com.
Got it.
Nailed it. Got it done. Sorry, folks. I'll try to get my mush mouth and my tongue to work over the next hour and 18 minutes as we are still here with you for that much longer here on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, almost stumbled there again, have an Olympic update for you along with a lot of other things from the sporting world. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.